to take us through and unravel those myths and bring a few truths home. We have a fantastic panel that we've brought together, so I will introduce you to the chair of that panel, which is Gaston Taratuta, who's the CEO and founder of IMS. Gaston, come to the stage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good.
Good morning, everybody. Can I take a selfie because my daughter didn't believe me that I'm going to talk to 600 people? Do you mind? Hi. Say hi. There you go. Thank you. Well, the first thing I wanted to say is I had the opportunity to be here 5 years ago, actually 2010, the festival, at the Ritz-Carlton. I'm really happy it's back in Ritz-Carlton because no one can go to South Beach shopping. But I wanted to say something about the importance of the festival. I want to give 30 seconds, if you allow me, to talk about how cool it is to be able to gather all together in the only event that the industry has in the Miami market. And if it wouldn't be for these people who take the risk coming from England, not from Fort Lauderdale, to develop this show, this event, we wouldn't be able to connect, we wouldn't be able to trade, we would not be able to share experiences, content. So I just want to give a great applause to the Festival of Media for a great event. So one or two more things before we start with this great panel is we have in front of us a very challenging years. This is the bad news for Latin America. Very challenging years for the region, especially when you think about the exchange rate. So this is time for you to innovate and be type B. Type A is the executive who is afraid to make a mistake, and type B is the executive who is afraid to miss an opportunity. This market is a TV-centric market, open TV-centric market. Let me repeat it again. Open TV-centric market, with half of the ad dollars go to 3 players. I don't need to mention those. So the KPI for today is for you to understand where are the new eyeballs, what's the new consumer journey, and what happened with mobile video. So I have a clicker here, right? So 2 slides. 155 million smartphone users in the region. We wanted to talk about Latin America because people ask me, bring Latin America data, no US data or Europe data, right? 95 million of those watch short videos on smartphones, and 64 million watch long-form videos on smartphones as well. Last slide before I present my panel. The time spent watching video on a smartphone is almost as high as time spent watching TV. More people access audiovisual content on digital video platforms than open TV. 32% watch more video on their smartphones than last year. And 57% people watch video content out of home, and 40% while commuting. Which is the same, right? Anyways, so with that, I wanted to introduce first a friend and a partner, Ivan Fuyala from Vevo. Please welcome. A friend from Sony Pictures Television, Jose Rivera from Crackle. And a long industry friend from previous life as well, Guilherme Ribamon from Twitter. Well, thank you. So how should we start? What was that we planned before?
The value proposition of our business.
So how relevant is mobile, Ivan, for Vevo?
So
thank you, firstly, Gaston, for having us here. We're thrilled to be here, and we're thrilled to be officially launching Vevo in Latin America. So Vevo is primarily a premium music video platform, and our users are music fans. So it's important to understand the context of our content. So generally short form video, generally say 2 to 6 minutes, official music videos, and then we have about 3,000 pieces of original content related to music. So last month we did, I think, 12 billion views globally. 1.5 billion of those views were in Mexico last month.
1.5?
1.5 billion of those views. Now, 58% of that 1.5 billion was on mobile in Mexico.
Wow.
And to sort of set the context for that growth, that was 3 times what it was 12 months ago. So for, it's different in different regions, right? Like Argentina, I think, is about 33% mobile, Brazil, 50%. But in all of those markets, we're seeing the volume of content consumed on mobile just continuing to grow. So it's super important for Vevo.
Amazing numbers, huh? So Guilherme, talk to me, what about, because people say Periscope. Guilherme said, hold on, Gaston, this is not Periscope. This is also video on Twitter.
Yeah, video is quickly becoming the most consumer media on Twitter, right? So we launched video on Twitter around 1 year ago, right? That we made available for users to create videos on Twitter, right? And also upload videos on Twitter. And quickly this became the most important, media that we have people consume on Twitter, right? It's 140 characters, just the legend, right? The title, but the content that people are consuming more and more on Twitter is video. And this is happening because, again, this is the trend, right? So just to give you a sense, in the beginning of 2014, around 20% of the videos were being consumed on mobile. In the end of 2014, this was already 38. Now it's probably more than 50%. So all the videos that are being consumed today, on digital, right? More than 50% are already mobile. And because Twitter is mobile by essence, right, it's a perfect platform to do it in real time and then have this kind of consumption.
So Jose, when I met you and we started talking a couple years ago about Crackle, or a year ago about Crackle, I got really interested about it because I thought it was a great value proposition. So talk to us a little bit about what can I find in Crackle as an advertiser specifically?
You were talking before about a world where Open TV is really the dominant player. But the truth is what's happening is that TV is everywhere. And the reality is that the reason you would consider something like Crackle is because not only the scale it can provide on a very quality, consumer-centric experience where you can effectively brand and tell your message to the consumer, but also it's a great way to really think about how you're reaching audiences that you otherwise wouldn't. It's really about when is my prime time. My prime time right now happens during the week around lunchtime. It happens during the weekends when I have time to spare. And the truth is that sitting with these guys and talking about the importance of video, before we could only see music videos on a TV, mostly on MTV. Now we have the Vevo experience. A lot of the Sony titles, obviously the company I work for, are there. In terms of Twitter, we leverage the Twitter platform to advance the engagement with our users using this platform. So it is an ecosystem that now is allowing these new screens, which, by the way, 75% of the screen time used is outside of the traditional TV screen nowadays. So it's so important that we give advertisers a great engagement platform to tell their great stories and match that with great content.
The previous presentation, how many of you are advertisers? Please raise a hand. So the previous presentation talked about the calculator. Ivan, can you help advertisers, agencies to understand Vevo as a platform that can also tell you a conversion between TRPs or any measurements on TV compared to digital? Are you guys going through that with Comscore or Nielsen?
Yep. So, so it's certainly, I mean, it's certainly important to be able to, you know, for a long time, digital publishers have wanted to speak the TV language so they can get the TV dollars, right? I actually worked for Nielsen for a number of years, so I'm very familiar with the challenges associated with cross-screen measurement. And quite honestly, you know, it's an expensive process because it involves multiple panels and so forth. But in America, we're lucky. You know, we're moving down that road where we have digital content ratings, which are being launched shortly, which give us GRPs. We have online campaign ratings and video campaign essentials by Comscore, which allow us to look at, you know, music videos and the consumption of music videos the same way in which television's done. You know, the part that's missing is really the duplication of the two. So, you know, we know what we're getting on digital platforms. We know what we're getting on TV. But it's very hard without that single source panel. People try to do it with building hybrid panels or fusion, you know, data sets, but it's very hard to get a true picture without those two single source panels.
Guilherme, how the experience in video on Twitter works, and can you share with us how many people are watching videos on Twitter in Latin America and using Periscope that also brings to the subject?
Yeah, I think I'll talk first about Twitter. It's pretty simple, right? So you go there, you can, you know, create a video. There is a button that you can create a video and shoot the video. You tweet the video, and then you put the you know, the title, and immediately people can produce video on Twitter in real time, right? And this combines again with the characteristics of the platform, a real-time platform.
Is it 15 seconds, 30 seconds?
Can be maximum 1 minute. Right, and that's
wow.
the current opportunity that the people has to produce video. Again, as I mentioned before, so we are seeing millions of views and millions of videos being produced, right? Regular in Latin America is not different than that. I think we're seeing a smartphone boom in the region, right? Currently, probably close to 40% of the smartphone, of the phones that we have in the region are smartphones, so people can produce video in scale right now in our region. Data is something that's also going down in terms of prices. The telcos are investing more and more to create business, to create opportunities for users to consume more data. Their business model is changing. Currently, 35% in Brazil. Currently, 35% of the revenue being generated by the largest telcos are already data revenue, right? And 2-3 years ago, this was 10%. Just to show how the telcos are interested to create opportunities to also, you know, provide data solutions to users. And Periscope, it was launched, you know, in the beginning of this year. It's a new platform. Currently, every day we have 40 years of consumption of video on Periscope. Right? Every day we have 40 years of total consumption on Periscope. So it's been growing like crazy. Right? I was Periscope in the beginning of this panel here. Right, we talking, and that's the power that Periscope gives to people, right? Is to really broadcast and show the world in there with our eyes, right? With the eyes and our angle, right? And that's the power of Periscope.
So Jose, you have a lot of content, Hollywood content. Are there users sitting in a sofa watching the movies, or are there more, in your case, and then Ivan, you can share as well, are more mobile?
So the mobile platform is extremely important because of the scale of the base of users. It's not necessarily the ones driving in aggregate the most amount of minutes, but it's really driving the most amount of frequency with respect to the network. And many of our networks will see that. Crackle offers Hollywood and TV series, so therefore the type of content it offers lends itself to have people spending a lot more time than average. We have movies that last 2 hours. We have obviously shows that last between half an hour to an hour. So what I can tell you is that the mobile platform, what it does for you, first of all, from a digital standpoint, is measurable. Not every platform, especially traditional media, especially open, over the air, is not as measurable as what we can deliver in the digital world. But we've been victims of our own device. You know, we've been taking ourselves to a much higher standard. The truth is that the value of this engagement and the people we know we're reaching to can be extremely valuable to brands that need to get people when they are, in the space they are, at the time they're at, and really drive the message to consume more or to buy something. And I think that's the value of the mobile platform for us. It's really driving frequency and very deep engagement with the brands that participate with us.
So, Ivan, I don't know who said that YouTube was a great platform, but there's a lot of garbage inside YouTube. Who said that?
Jerry Seinfeld?
And someone before, there is a phone, I like it's very good. Es un sapo, creo, ¿no? un grillo, no sé qué. It's very good. So I was talking about Seinfeld, right? And then someone before said about that 5% of the content is premium, right? Short form, long form. What are the advertisers who understand this and appreciating this? What kind of advertisers you see? We just launched in Latin America. What do you see in the rest of the world? Who's willing to lose to gain?
Well, it's interesting, right? Like you look at YouTube, and I guess the best way to look at the content mix is to look at the top 100 channels on YouTube, right? Because it's the 80-20 rule, right? These guys are getting most of the traffic. I guess if you look at those channels, it's primarily music and gaming, right? And the beauty of the Vevo content that we distribute through YouTube, as well as a number of other places like Shazam, AOL, Yahoo, and so forth, is that it's all professionally produced premium content. So the investment that goes into producing these music videos now is quite significant. And I think that there's a lot of brands that are really starting to understand that, it's not just YouTube, that there's pockets you can pick within YouTube and around YouTube that suit your brand better. There's certain artists that you can associate with and take 100% sponsorship of through Vevo that are going to be ambassadors for your brand without actually having to go through the cost of, securing endorsement deals and all those sorts of things.
Uh-huh.
So there's, we're seeing in different markets now, and more so in LATAM, that the advertisers are standing up and taking notice and looking at how they want to be associated with this premium portion of content, not just across YouTube, but across the whole video space, really.
So, Guilherme, can you provide to this audience examples of how marketeers leverage the mobile video platform in your case?
Yeah, I think a couple of points, right? So the first one is I think mobile is allowing the brands to be in 100% of the digital journey of the consumer, right? If you think about 5-10 years ago, pretty much the video were being watched on TV, right? And now, because people are watching videos the whole day, commuting, as you show in the beginning of the conversation, people are watching those those spots, right, ongoing, right, when they are with their mobiles on their hands. So this is the first opportunity, is to close the digital journey of the consumer. The second opportunity is to get endorsement from consumers, right? Again, think about the old way to show your video on TV. So people were watching your video, was broadcast, but they were not able to engage with that video. They were not able to share that video. Now they can, right? And this is a powerful opportunity for brands, because their video, their ads, cannot be only watched, but they can also be shared. And when we share a video from an advertiser, I'm endorsing this spot. I'm endorsing the advertisement, endorsing the brand, right? And this is very powerful. And the third point is about content production, right? And we saw a couple of panels ago the opportunity for find new people that are, talent people in the world that are producing content on video, right? And how this can be powerful, because this creates an opportunity for the brands to spend less money, right? Find, very strong and talented people in the world that know the language to connect to their audiences, right? And again, this creates an opportunity to niche the audience, right? Twitter acquired a company in the beginning of this year called Niche, which is a company that facilitates the job of agencies and brands to find content producers, right, and create this ecosystem, right, and empower the ecosystem to allow, again, the brands to be more connected to the consumers.
So one question on that. Should advertisers or agencies recommending advertisers just copy-paste the 30-second commercial they had on TV and use it on Vevo, Twitter, or Crackle, or you recommend them something different in terms of content?
I think we should definitely think about how to continue the story that you started on TV. Right? TV is very powerful. We will continue to be very powerful to broadcast the message and to impact people in mass, right? Massive impact people. Then the question is how this story will continue, right, on social platforms like Twitter, right, or like Facebook, or like other social platforms. And I think that's the opportunity that those producers come, right? How they will connect and continue to tell the story that started on TV.
You want to comment on that?
Yeah, the fact that you can
Because
basically...
for Crackle, in my mind, I just get the 30-second commercial that I got on Open TV and I put it on your platform. Is that correct, or you suggest something different?
We've seen advertisers that extend that story because they can fully control it. You're dealing with a one-to-one experience, and you can sequentially tell your story to that base of users. Because you have the ability to limit the amount of advertising units that any one user has, you can make sure that that sequential story makes sense to the one watching. So I think that that's the advantage that we bring. Last year we saw over 84 million visits to Crackle, and I think that what they got out of it is because advertisers had the opportunity to control that message, was probably that and this is backed by research, by the way, that the brand lift and brand awareness and brand consideration all goes up because you're tailoring that message to the user in the platform.
One comment, in between these three companies, together they're probably looking at between 50 and probably 60 million people across the region watching videos. I'm not selling anything, I'm just telling you, there's a lot of people in Latin America. And then one comment on this content thing. For Vevo, what's the case? Because I see companies doing different things than just bringing a 30-second commercial. Are there any integration opportunities that want to be related to a certain artist or something different?
Yeah, so I think it makes sense for, for any smart agency.
¿Y qué me han advertised and told me, I want to own music?
Yeah. So, I mean, we definitely see when we look, because we do all sorts of brand testing on the different campaigns that run across our platform, and the ones that are tailored to the artists, to the music audience, to the millennials, to whatever group they're trying to reach, are definitely more effective, right? It's often a question of cost. And often in markets, particularly in a lot of markets in Latin America, it's just easier and cheaper to use that television commercial. Is it ideal? Well, no, it's not. But it's still a way of extending your reach, getting massive reach. You know, something that we're seeing a lot of interest in from advertisers around the globe, and particularly in Latin America, is going above and beyond just a standard media buy. So we primarily sell pre-roll videos in front of our content. But more and more artists are saying, look, how can I get involved? How can I have my brand involved in the content? So we've launched a bunch of original shows that are related to music, and they have brand integration opportunities that allow the brand to just take that one step more to get involved in the content above and beyond just buying the media. And that's proving tremendously successful. In fact, when we look at the brand breakthrough metrics for inclusion in videos, they're extremely high. And the media around it just multiplies that impact.
So anyone wants to comment on viewability? Any interesting thing to say that? We need to guarantee the audience that people will watch, and this is not a skip generation.
Right. In the case of Crackle, we don't offer the ability to skip ads. You're committed to watching a great show, a great story. The brand has the ability to tell their message to the users when they're watching that great content. And this is good for both user and it's also good for the brand. For users, they're basically getting great content, great stories, professional-made stories for free, for no cost at all.
Guilherme, on 20 seconds?
Yeah, sometimes there is a confusion between viewability and percentage of completion of videos, right? I think we need to differentiate. I think viewability is about if the ad is being, seen by users, by consumers. And our standard on Twitter is 100%. So we only charge a video ad when the user is watching 100% of the video, right? Of the image of the video. And then they see the video. Competition is a different story, right? And this connects with a lot of research showing that after 3 seconds, right, if a user continues to watch your video, there is a value proposition for advertisers. And because of that, we are charging 3 seconds after the video will start to be watched. But again, with 100% viewability.
Guilherme, in 10 seconds, how important is going to be video in your platform in terms of revenue?
It's already huge, and it's just, it's just a trend. We'll continue to see this, growing like crazy.
So I think we are pretty much, the monitor says 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That means that it's over, I think. Do we have time for 1 minute, one question from the audience? One question. I see someone there. Well, if Sorrel didn't get one question, we're fine if we don't get one, right? Anyone? Cool.
There's one
oh, here, there. Hold on, you're gonna get a mic there, right there. You want to stand and say your name?
Can you hear me? Yes, there you go. I'm Georgia Lynn Stradinger with Digital Element, and we do IP geolocation. So I heard you talk about content and the importance of having content that is relevant locally. So how big is it for your business to have not only the ads that are relevant locally, but also the content in language, content that is relevant to somebody in Brazil, and then you move on to another country, you go to Argentina, and show them content that is going to be relevant there without the user having to search for it extremely. So how important is that right now in LATAM?
So, I mean, I can kick off and talk to that from a Vevo perspective, and the answer is it's incredibly important, right? Like, in America, people tend to content, or stick LATAM into one bucket where we know that is so untrue, right? So we develop, in the markets we launch, we develop editorial and programming content teams for each of those markets. So we have one in Brazil, we have one in Mexico, we're rolling these out. And they work with local content producers to source local artists to make sure that we're giving our users the local content they need above the fold, at the top of the domain, as and when they need it. It's the only way to scale, and it's the only way to really give the fans in those markets what they really want. So localization of content is super important. Even to the extent where it's different in different geographical locations within the same country. And that's where we use IP targeting quite effectively and actually targeting different content to different markets, depending on what people prefer in terms of music taste.
I'll simply say that it's a matter of cost too. If you don't deliver content localized to the user base, you don't get the performance. And you have to give people choice. Choice is also very important. Some choose to consume it in language, some choose to consume it in English, some choose to actually have a combination of subtitles and language. So it is very important to drive performance, not only for consumption of content, but also for the brand message.
Yeah, I would say that, again, reinforce, it's incredibly important. We heard today that content sells, right? Which means that by nature, this matters a lot. And I think it's our responsibility, right, as a social platform, it's our responsibility to help brands and advertisers to know how to create good content, right? And I mentioned about the acquisition of Niche, which is a good example of how Twitter is moving to a direction that we are working to provide solutions for brands and agencies to have good content. I would say that for a social platform, content is 99.9% of the job. The 0.01 is media to amplify a good content. Right? And that's the reason that content is so important. Right? Without good content, we cannot do our job.
So with that, I want to thank you, the three of you. Actually, we didn't use none of the questions that I had here in the Rotero.
We had a call about it, by the way.
I'm very happy about this. And then, guys, try to be type B. Try to think as that you are afraid to miss an opportunity. Someone else otherwise will take your place. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, my man.